What will happen with AI? Like, especially over the phone with Final Expense, this sale can be done, a lot of it with AI because it's a simple sale, it's transactional, it's a low cost point. Um, I would say for any other demographic than this, absolutely. But I don't know if you ever met a Final Expense client, but uh, they're very price sensitive and they need a lot of trust to part with their money, right? They're on a fixed income. They don't have a really much of a budget to speak with. They want to make sure that they don't make one last bad decision. Okay, they want to make sure that their family's taken care of. They want to allocate a small portion and sometimes a large portion of their fixed income to make sure that that whole transition is taken care of smoothly. And that's a tall order to ask somebody that's price conscious that much to part with that money. They need to have trust. And people this age group, 60, 65 plus, so all of our leads, we have proprietary leads that are, for our agency, they're $7 leads. They're proprietary for people in our agency. But for all of our leads, we work with only 60 to 80 years old. That's all we market to. And people in that age group, they're not really trusting of technology, of AI. They're old school. They like to have that relational capital and that trust with someone they do business with. And when you're that price conscious, that's hard to trust anything but a actual person, either on the phone or face to face. Trust is very nuanced, right? So that nuance doesn't come from AI right now. Now, I do believe that the Final Expense opportunity is better today than it was 5 years ago, because I think a lot of filtration's happening with unserious operators. So AI will disrupt some back-end stuff with Final Expense and make the serious operators, it'll make them much better. Now, the people that are kind of bumps on a log, the old school operators in Final Expense, I think they're going to get crushed. But as far as the actual sales go, I don't think that's going to be disrupted by AI by any means. But the unserious old school operators, if you're not using AI on your back end, helping you with marketing, like for example, we have AI appointment reminders that is available to our agents, meaning it's an actual video of them just greeting them, saying hello before their appointment, but it dynamically inserts the client's information in the video and you can't tell. So stuff like that is very helpful, but that's not going to ever replace, at least it's not going to replace the actual agent. In my opinion, it won't replace them until a new generation goes into the Final Expense category. I think it's got 10 to 15 years before anything like that happens. So there is a moat around the Final Expense business when it comes to, I guess, the economic durability, and as far as AI too. So one thing that I get asked is, how is inflation affecting Final Expense? Well, I mean, I don't know, but one thing I do know is that our average premium has gone up with inflation. So we track everything relentlessly. And we track premiums. We look at the averages and the trends over time. We have seen our average premiums go up over time. And our persistency hasn't changed. So here's something to think about in the Final Expense business. If they can't really afford $30, then they probably can't afford 80. Okay. So right now, we've seen the highest premiums have been the most persistent premiums. Think about that concept. If somebody can't afford 30, they probably can't afford 80. If 30 is tough for them, if they're like, I better do 25, they're not going to afford 80, right? And the same goes to somebody that is 80, that's paying $80 a month. They probably can't afford 30 either. If $80 a month is tough for them, then $30 a month is going to be tough too. So if the clients that pay for the higher premiums, they seem to be more persistent right now. Think about it. If somebody can not afford 80, if they're worried about affording $80 a month or $30 a month, and they're like, hey, I better do 50 or 40 or $30, right? Well, that means if there's any disruption in their budget of like $50, they're going to have trouble paying for the insurance, right? So it's crazy. That's what we've noticed is the higher premiums are starting to pay better. But we do a lot of stuff on the back end to make sure that those premiums are paid. We have a lot of automated policy retention stuff that automatically goes out for our agents. Thank you cards, text messages. We have a call center. So all that stuff. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on the business. Hopefully that's helpful. Is the final expense agent dying? I don't think so. Is AI going to disrupt it? I don't think so.